That jar sitting in your pantry right now might look innocent enough. Golden spread, wholesome branding, promises of protein and natural goodness straight from the earth. But what's really inside could be loaded with palm oil, destroying rainforests halfway around the world, and packed with enough sugar to rival chocolate bars marketed to children. For months, we investigated 8 peanut butter brands dominating Australian supermarket shelves. We analysed ingredient lists line by line. We traced supply chains across continents. We uncovered what companies desperately don't want you knowing. What we discovered will change how you shop forever. These are the peanut butter brands Australians need to avoid immediately. And by the end, we'll reveal the 2 brands that are actually worth your money and your trust. Let's expose them. Number 8. Sanitarium Natural Peanut Butter. Sanitarium built its reputation as Australia's quintessential health food company, owned by the Seventh Day Adventist Church since 1898. They've spent over a century positioning themselves as the wholesome alternative to corporate food giants. Their Weet-Bix dominates breakfast tables nationwide, a staple in millions of homes. Their So Good plant milks line supermarket shelves coast to coast. The Sanitarium name has become synonymous with nutrition, wellness, and supposedly ethical food production. When Australians see that familiar blue and yellow branding in the cereal aisle or health food section, they instinctively assume they're choosing health over profit, values over corporate greed. That trust, built over generations, is expensive and completely misplaced when it comes to their peanut butter. Sanitarium Natural. Peanut butter markets itself aggressively as the healthy choice for Australian families. Natural ingredients, Australian-owned, trusted by families for generations. The label promises simplicity and purity, everything modern health-conscious consumers desperately seek. But flip that jar over and actually read the fine print that most shoppers ignore. The ingredient list includes peanuts, sugar, vegetable oil, and salt. Wait, sugar in natural peanut butter? The addition of sugar immediately disqualifies this from being genuinely natural in any honest interpretation. Real, natural peanut butter contains peanuts and maybe salt for flavour. That's it, nothing more. Adding sugar transforms it from whole food into processed product designed to taste sweet rather than authentically nutty. The sugar content per serving is higher than many parents realise, contributing significantly to the hidden sugar Australian children consume daily, without anyone noticing or connecting to behavioural issues. Then there's the mysterious vegetable oil. Sanitarium doesn't specify which vegetable oil they actually use, which is always a massive red flag in food manufacturing. When companies hide behind deliberately vague terms like vegetable oil without disclosure, they're invariably using the cheapest available option that maximises profit margins. Usually that means palm oil or heavily refined seed oils that cost cents per litre. Palm oil production drives catastrophic deforestation in Indonesia and Malaysia, systematically destroying orangutan habitats and contributing directly to accelerating climate change. For a company owned by a church that openly preaches environmental stewardship and care for creation, using palm oil without clear disclosure isn't just disappointing, it's breathtakingly hypocritical. The refined seed oils commonly used are extraordinarily high in omega-6 fatty acids, which contribute to chronic inflammation when consumed in excess over years. Chronic inflammation is scientifically linked to arthritis, heart disease, type 2 diabetes, and accelerated aging. You're literally spreading inflammation on your morning toast while genuinely believing you're making a healthy choice for your family. The texture of Sanitarium Natural is unnaturally smooth and stable, never requiring stirring or refrigeration. Real natural peanut butter separates naturally, with oil rising to the top, because that's exactly what happens when you grind oily peanuts without adding chemical emulsifiers and stabilizers. The fact that Sanitarium's version doesn't separate means they've added undisclosed ingredients to prevent natural oil separation, which directly contradicts their heavily marketed natural branding. The flavour is disappointingly bland and noticeably overly sweet, missing completely the robust peanut taste that comes from quality nuts minimally processed and freshly ground. What makes this particularly insulting is the pricing strategy. Sanitarium charges substantial premium prices based entirely on their century-old health food reputation, while delivering a product that's barely better than conventional supermarket peanut butter. You're paying extra for sophisticated marketing and church ownership, not superior ingredients or genuine naturalness. Number 7. Kraft peanut butter. Kraft arrived in Australia as an American multinational more interested in profit than quality. When they entered the market, they brought the formula that made American peanut butter more candy than protein. Kraft's ingredient list reads like a chemistry experiment: roasted peanuts, sugar, vegetable oil, salt, emulsifiers and stabilizers. The sugar content is astronomical for a savoury protein spread. Kids eat this multiple times daily without parents connecting it to behaviour problems and blood sugar crashes. The vegetable oil is extracted using high heat and chemical solvents, then refined and deodorized. The emulsifiers prevent separation, creating unnaturally smooth texture. The stabilizers ensure it sits in warehouses for months without degrading. The texture is paste-like, coating your mouth with waxy film. That's engineered consistency designed to maximize sweetness and create addictive mouthfeel. The flavour is aggressively sweet with faint peanut notes buried under sugar. It tastes like peanut-flavoured candy, which explains why children prefer it. They're trained to associate peanut butter with sweetness rather than nutrition. Kraft targets children through cartoon branding calculated to make kids demand this over healthier alternatives. Meanwhile, Australian children consume unnecessary sugar and inflammatory oils, contributing to childhood obesity. Number 6. Woolworths Macro Organic Peanut Butter. Woolworths launched Macro to compete in the premium organic market without delivering premium quality. The branding looks wholesome, and Australians pay extra believing they're making better choices. Macro contains organic peanuts and salt. Sounds perfect, but Australian organic standards vary wildly. Woolworths uses less stringent certifiers, meaning their organic label might not mean what you think. The peanuts are sourced from the cheapest organic suppliers, often overseas. There's no transparency about origin, just vague product of multiple origins disclaimers. That's corporate speak for we bought the cheapest we could find. Quality and freshness weren't priorities. The result tastes flat and stale. The texture is inconsistent between batches, ranging from grainy to overly oily, depending on which supplier's peanuts made that batch. Real artisan peanut butter maintains consistency through careful sourcing. Macro can't achieve this when buying bulk commodities based on price. The pricing is 50 to 70% more than conventional options while delivering barely better quality. You're paying for certification that might be meaningless and organic peanuts from the cheapest international suppliers. The environmental benefit is negated when products ship halfway around the world. Number 5. Bega Peanut Butter. Bega is one of Australia's most iconic food brands. Founded in 1899 in the Bega Valley of New South Wales, that distinctive yellow label became synonymous with Australian made reliability. For over a century, families trusted Bega cheese, butter and dairy products as genuinely Australian and genuinely good. When Bega expanded into peanut butter, Australians assumed the same quality standards would apply. That assumption was wrong. Bega's ingredient list reveals the uncomfortable truth: peanuts, sugar, vegetable oil and salt. But here's the shocking part. The peanuts aren't even Australian. They're imported from wherever Bega can source them cheapest, often China, Argentina or the United States. The Australian-made label is technically accurate because processing happens in Australian facilities, but the actual product comes from overseas. This is the legal loophole that allows companies to slap Australian flags on products made from imported ingredients. Consumers think they're supporting Australian farmers. They're supporting Bega's profit margins built on cheap international commodities. The sugar content is unnecessarily high, added to mask the inferior flavour of cheap imported peanuts and to appeal to children. Parents think they're providing protein. They're actually serving sugar delivery with some peanut content. The vegetable oil is processed industrial grade, chosen purely for cost and shelf stability. Zero consideration for nutritional value or environmental impact. The texture is artificially smooth and stable, never separating because emulsifiers bind everything unnaturally. Real peanut butter separates. The oil rises naturally because that's what happens when you grind oily nuts without chemicals. The flavour is bland and sweet, missing the robust nuttiness from quality peanuts properly processed. Bega charges mid-range to premium prices based on heritage while delivering product identical to generic brands. You're paying for the yellow label and nostalgia, not Australian content or superior ingredients. Number 4. Skippy Super Chunk Peanut Butter. Skippy revolutionised American peanut butter in 1932 when Joseph Rosefield figured out how to stop oil separation. When Skippy expanded into Australian supermarkets, they brought decades of food engineering expertise and the same corner-cutting practices that prioritise profit over nutrition. Skippy Super Chunk arrived marketed as premium chunky option. The ingredient list reads like a chemical factory: roasted peanuts, sugar, hydrogenated vegetable oil, salt, and additives designed to extend shelf life. That hydrogenated vegetable oil is the real villain. Hydrogenation transforms liquid oils into solid fats that never spoil. Sounds convenient until you understand the health implications. Hydrogenated oils create trans fats, among the worst substances you can put in your body. Trans fats raise bad cholesterol while lowering good cholesterol, creating perfect conditions for cardiovascular disease. They promote inflammation, contribute to insulin resistance and diabetes, and increase heart attack risk. Many countries have banned artificial trans fats because the evidence of harm is overwhelming. Yet Skippy continues using them in products sold to Australian families. The sugar content is astronomical for what should be a protein spread, added to mask inferior peanut flavour and appeal to children. The chunky pieces are lower-grade peanut fragments creating texture illusion, while the base remains processed paste. The texture is unnaturally sticky, coating your mouth with waxy residue. That's hydrogenated oil creating coating designed to maximise flavour impact. The flavour is aggressively sweet and artificial, tasting like peanut-flavoured candy. What makes Skippy particularly dangerous is aggressive marketing targeting children and busy parents, positioning itself as the fun family option. Meanwhile, parents unknowingly serve children trans fats, excessive sugar, and processed ingredients contributing to childhood obesity. Number 3. Maver's Peanut Butter. Maver's markets itself as Australia's premium health food brand. The packaging looks clean and modern. The branding targets health-conscious consumers. That positioning hides uncomfortable truths. Maver's range includes multiple varieties. The natural contains just peanuts, which sounds perfect, but dig deeper and cracks appear. Maver's sources peanuts internationally, prioritising cost over quality. The carbon footprint of importing from China or North America negates any health benefits. You're eating nuts that travelled thousands of kilometres, so Maver's could maximise margins on supposedly natural health food. The organic range uses certified organic peanuts, but without transparency about specific farms and supply chains. That label could mean little. Maver's doesn't provide that transparency. The texture tends toward dry and grainy. suggesting peanuts that weren't fresh when processed. Quality peanut butter should be creamy and spreadable, not dry paste that tears bread. The flavour is adequate but unremarkable. What's frustrating is how Maver's expanded into heavily sweetened and flavoured varieties that contradict their health food branding. Adding chocolate or honey transforms simple peanut butter into processed food while maintaining premium pricing. The pricing sits firmly in premium category, costing significantly more than supermarket brands while delivering marginally better quality. Number 2, Coles Finest Peanut Butter. Supermarket house brands trying to compete in the premium category are inherently suspicious. Coles Finest positions itself as elevated quality for discerning shoppers who want better than generic but don't want to pay boutique prices. The branding looks sophisticated with minimalist packaging and premium positioning within the Coles ecosystem. But scratch the surface and it becomes clear that Finest is just marketing language applied to the same mass production methods that create all supermarket house brands. Coles Finest Peanut Butter contains peanuts, sugar, vegetable oil and salt. The ingredient list is identical to cheap generic peanut butter, except the Finest label allows Coles to charge significantly more. This is the supermarket house brand playbook. Create tier pricing that makes consumers feel sophisticated about choosing Finest over generic, while both products come from the same supplier using virtually identical ingredients. The peanuts are sourced from the cheapest international suppliers available, with zero transparency about origin, quality, or growing conditions. Could be Australian, could be Chinese, could be Brazilian. Coles isn't telling because they don't want consumers knowing they're paying premium prices for budget commodity ingredients. The sugar content is higher than necessary, added to mask inferior peanut flavour and appeal to Australian palates trained on sweet processed foods. The vegetable oil is cheap refined seed oil, chosen purely for cost and shelf stability, with no consideration for nutritional value or sustainability. The texture is smooth and stable, artificially consistent through processing that strips away anything resembling real ground peanuts. The flavour is bland and sweet, tasting more like peanut-flavoured spread than actual nuts. Customer reviews consistently mention disappointment with quality relative to price, with many noting that Finest doesn't taste meaningfully better than Coles' generic brand, despite costing significantly more. What makes this particularly cynical is how Coles uses the Finest branding to extract more profit from shoppers who trust that premium positioning means premium ingredients. Internal supplier contracts reveal that Finest products often come from the same manufacturers as generic Coles brand, just packaged differently and priced higher. You're paying for marketing and label design, not better food. The environmental impact is identical to cheap peanut butter because it's made using the same industrial processes and international supply chains, just with fancier packaging that creates more waste. The nutritional value is identical to cheap alternatives because the ingredients are essentially the same, just branded to suggest superiority that doesn't exist. Coles Finest represents everything wrong with supermarket house brands trying to play in the premium category. Misleading branding, unjustified pricing, and zero transparency about what you're actually buying. Coles was exploiting shopper psychology to sell them generic peanut butter at premium prices, proving that supermarket giants will happily dress up cheap products in fancy packaging when there's margin to be made. Number 1. Bramwells Crunchy Peanut Butter. This deserves the top spot as the worst peanut butter in Australia. Bramwells is Aldi's house brand, positioned as budget-friendly for shoppers prioritising price above everything. The jar costs less than name brands, which seems smart until you understand what corners are cut. This isn't just cheap peanut butter, this is peanut-flavoured paste, barely qualifying as food. Bramwells contains roasted peanuts, sugar, vegetable oil and salt. The peanuts are sourced from the cheapest suppliers anywhere on earth with zero transparency about origin or quality. These are peanuts other manufacturers rejected for not meeting minimal standards. Lower grade nuts that are older, potentially damaged, definitely stale. The kind salvaged for budget products because grinding hides defects obvious in whole nuts. The sugar content is excessive, even by mass market standards, masking inferior flavour of cheap stale peanuts and rancid oils. The vegetable oil is the cheapest refined seed oil available, extracted using chemicals and heavily processed. This oil provides zero nutrition while contributing to inflammation. The texture is simultaneously grainy and paste-like. The peanut chunks are hard and dry, suggesting stale peanuts. The base spread is unnaturally smooth, but lacks creamy richness from fresh peanuts. You get sticky paste coating your mouth uncomfortably. The flavour reveals something is wrong. It tastes stale and slightly rancid, with chemical undertones that shouldn't exist in peanut butter. Excessive sugar attempts to mask these off flavours, but can't hide that you're eating old peanuts mixed with cheap oil. What makes Bramwells particularly concerning is complete lack of transparency. Aldi operates on maximum efficiency and minimal disclosure. They contract with cheapest manufacturers, often in countries with minimal food safety oversight. You have no idea where peanuts were grown, how they were processed, what pesticides were used, or how long ago they were harvested. The product could be months or years old, having sat through multiple temperature cycles degrading whatever quality existed. The pricing seems appealing when comparing numbers. A few dollars saved feels like smart budgeting. But you're buying nutritionally bankrupt paste, contributing nothing positive, while potentially exposing you to stale ingredients, excessive sugar, and inflammatory oils. Bramwells represents the absolute bottom of peanut butter quality in Australia, proving that when price is the only consideration, food quality becomes irrelevant, and consumer health is collateral damage. But not every jar is a trap. Two brands still remember that peanut butter should taste like peanuts without requiring a chemistry degree to understand the ingredients. Stay tuned, because we're about to reveal which brands are actually worth your money and your trust. Australia's peanut butter aisle is a minefield of misleading marketing and products barely qualifying as food, but two brands prove honest peanut butter exists when companies prioritise quality. First up, Pics peanut butter. This New Zealand brand was started by Pics, who quit his corporate job to make peanut butter properly using traditional methods and uncompromising standards. Pics Really Good peanut butter contains Australian-grown peanuts roasted longer to develop deeper flavour, then ground to smooth perfection. No sugar, no added oils, no emulsifiers. Just exceptional peanuts and a touch of salt. The oil separation that occurs naturally proves no chemicals are binding this together. Stir once, store upside down in the fridge. Problem solved. The flavour is extraordinary, deeply nutty with complexity from quality nuts and expert roasting. This tastes like peanut butter made by someone who genuinely cares. The texture is impossibly smooth without added oils or emulsifiers, achieved through longer grinding that releases more natural oils. Australian peanuts make a noticeable difference in freshness and flavour. You're supporting local farmers while getting superior taste. Yes, Pics costs more than mass market brands, but delivers quality justifying the premium. When you're paying double for something demonstrably better, the pricing makes sense. Customer loyalty is strong because once you experience truly excellent peanut butter, cheaper alternatives feel like compromise. Pics provides transparency about sourcing and production that builds trust. Second is Ceres Organics Organic Peanut Butter Crunchy. This New Zealand brand has built exceptional reputation for uncompromising organic standards and genuine commitment to food purity. Ceres doesn't just slap organic labels to charge premium prices. They live their values through rigorous sourcing and transparent supply chains. Ceres Organics Crunchy contains certified organic peanuts and sea salt. 2 ingredients, both organic, both exactly what you want. The organic certification uses rigorous internationally recognised standards with regular independent testing. That means zero synthetic pesticides, herbicides, GMO contamination or shortcuts. The peanuts are grown on certified organic farms where soil health and environmental sustainability are genuine priorities. The crunchy texture comes from actual peanut pieces, not hard stale fragments. These are the same quality organic peanuts used in the base, roasted perfectly and left in satisfying chunks. The texture balance provides substantial crunch without overwhelming the creamy base. The flavour is outstanding, delivering deep, authentic nuttiness from genuinely fresh organic peanuts. There's complexity that mass-market products completely lack. You taste the quality of peanuts themselves rather than sugar and oils creating artificial flavour. Organic growing methods produce peanuts with more concentrated flavour because plants aren't artificially rushed using synthetic fertilisers. The sea salt enhances natural sweetness without adding sugar. The natural oil separation is minimal because Ceres uses fresh, high-quality peanuts, but what separation occurs proves purity. Simply stir and refrigerate. The commitment to organic standards means avoiding pesticide residues, synthetic additives, and GMO contamination that conventional peanut butter inevitably contains. For families concerned about chemical exposure, especially for children, organic certification provides genuine peace of mind. The environmental benefit extends beyond personal health. Organic farming protects soil health, preserves biodiversity, and reduces emissions compared to industrial agriculture. The pricing reflects genuine organic production costs rather than inflated margins. Ceres charges more than conventional brands because organic peanuts cost more to grow, but less than boutique brands using organic as luxury positioning. Customer reviews consistently praise flavour and ethical practices. Ceres proves companies can succeed commercially while maintaining uncompromising standards. 8 brands exposed for misleading marketing, inferior ingredients, and prices that insult Australian consumers. But 2 prove that honest peanut butter still exists when companies prioritise food over profit. Your morning toast deserves better than processed paste pretending to be nutrition. Choose brands that remember peanuts are supposed to be the star ingredient, not supporting actors in a corporate marketing drama. Your taste buds, your health, and Australian farmers will thank you. The difference between real peanut butter and industrial paste isn't subtle. Once you experience genuinely quality products, you'll never want to go back to the sugar bombs and chemical cocktails dominating supermarket shelves. Hit subscribe if you want more truth about what's really on supermarket shelves. Drop a comment about which brand shocked you most or which peanut butter scandal made you question everything you thought you knew about Australian food. Until next time, keep spreading the good stuff and fighting the good fight against edible mediocrity.